Greetings, it's great to see you here. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all new videos and updates. Thanks for your support. Christina's grin remained intact as she locked eyes with Yuri, her expression slightly mischievous. "What did you expect?" she quipped, her tone holding a touch of challenge. Yuri's response was measured, tinged with a mix of disappointment and frustration. "Honestly, I thought we shared something more substantial. A partnership where important decisions were discussed together. And I certainly didn't anticipate you agreeing to work in a different city without even consulting me." With a dismissive shake of her head, Christina countered, "Yura, you've always been aware that I crave more than what our small firm offers. While you might find contentment here, this town suffocates my ambitions. I've never concealed this fact. Consulting you would have been futile, considering you wouldn't even consider relocating to the regional center." Yuri persisted, his tone a touch firmer. "Regardless, a heads-up would have been considerate." Christina's nonchalant shrug seemed to underscore her resolve. "Consider this your warning, then," she replied, her composure unwavering. "I've secured a position I've yearned for, a job I've pursued persistently. They finally recognized my potential after 3 attempts. I won't let go of such an opportunity. Did you even bother to research the company? Exceptional management, not to mention a plethora of enticing employee benefits." The dynamic between Christina and Yuri hung in the air, a mixture of tension, differing aspirations, and untold emotions. Their exchange held a subtext of deeper discussions they had yet to embark upon. Yuri's disappointment was palpable as he shook his head, struggling to process the weight of the situation. "I understand," he said, his voice tinged with a mix of resignation and sadness. "But what about us? What does this mean for us?" Christina's response was surprisingly matter-of-fact, almost detached. "Nothing," she replied with a casual shrug. "There's nothing left to happen to us. Our chapter is closing. I'm moving on, and you're staying here. Yura, we've revisited this conversation so many times. We both knew this was coming." Yura's gaze held a touch of melancholy as he regarded Christina, his voice holding a thread of hope. "Yes, we have," he admitted softly. "But I guess part of me hoped that you'd eventually change your mind." A broad smile stretched across Christina's face as she looked towards the towering modern building that lay before her, a symbol of her new beginning. Her eyes sparkled with anticipation. She had finally arrived, having just disembarked from the bus that had brought her into the city. Suitcases left at the train station, she stood on the threshold of her aspirations. A realtor was lined up for an apartment search in an hour, but first, she wanted to soak in the ambience. The place she had yearned for was now within her reach, her dreams culminating in reality on the cusp of her first day of work. The gleaming office held her attention for a few more moments before she headed towards her rendezvous point with the realtor. Swiftly, the apartment hunt progressed. Only 3 places were considered, but the final one resonated with Christina the most. Pristine repairs, a sense of cleanliness, and above all, proximity to work, a short walk to her newfound professional haven. On Sunday, Christina dedicated her day to organizing her belongings. In addition, she felt the need to familiarize herself with the surroundings. A brief exploration to identify the closest grocery store, pharmacy, and other essentials. This particular day overflowed with contentment for her. Each moment was a celebration. The start of the life she had tirelessly pursued was now a reality, and she was resolute in savoring every instant of this fresh journey. As the evening descended, Christina meticulously laid out her attire for the upcoming day. Her field of work centered around it, an industry that often paid little heed to appearances. Nonetheless, she was determined to exude professionalism and self-assuredness. She wanted to erase any trace of doubt, leaving no room for anyone to question her rightful place. While her job was stationed in a branch office rather than the main headquarters in Moscow, Christina understood the fierce competition she was part of. Her accomplishments were noteworthy, and she held her head high. The time was ripe for Christina to retire to bed when a message from Yura appeared on her phone. "I sincerely hope your new job and city bring you happiness. I meant to mention yesterday that casting aside old friends isn't always wise. Novelty doesn't inherently equate to improvement. It's not just me you neglected to inform. You also didn't spare the time for a proper conversation with your best friend." As the message lingered before her eyes, Christina's emotions swirled. The weight of her choices and their consequences pressed upon her. She paused, contemplating the layers of her new life and the bonds of the past that had been left behind. Christina absorbed the contents of the message, a deep sigh escaping her lips. It was true, she realized that she hadn't taken the time to engage in a meaningful conversation with Ella. Her haste had overshadowed the importance of nurturing her friendships. Yet buried beneath this urgency was another layer. The underlying reason she had shied away from unveiling her true thoughts to her friends, especially Ella. They all had a shared history from high school, sharing dreams and aspirations that seemed harmonious. All except her. In the midst of their collective ambitions, Christina often felt like the odd one out, a black sheep in a sea of uniformity. Whenever she voiced her aspirations of working in a prominent corporation, she would be met with perplexed glances. "We have a thriving city right here. There's plenty of work. Why chase after those sprawling megacities?" her friends would inquire. Christina's response usually came in the form of a nonchalant shrug. Even she couldn't entirely comprehend why her friends were content with settling for the status quo. Why didn't they yearn for more? For a time, she herself had all but relinquished the hope of breaking free from the ordinary. This very notion had led her into a relationship with Yura, an arrangement born from either sheer ennui or a sense of hopelessness. In pursuit of novel experiences and a diversion from the monotonous routines, she had sought refuge in their connection. But in hindsight, it seemed Yura was the one who brought a flavor of monotony into her life. A sigh escaped her lips, a mix of contemplation and exasperation. While she acknowledged that a conversation with Ella was overdue, the past couldn't be rewound. Looking forward was the better option now, to cast her gaze toward the future she was so ardently determined to craft. Christina scrutinized her reflection in the mirror, her appearance meticulously attended to. Every strand of hair lay in its place, the makeup boasting soft, natural hues. The suit she wore bore not a single crease, it was impeccably pressed. With a final nod of approval to her reflection, Christina affirmed her contentment with her presentation. Tossing on a raincoat and slipping into a pair of high-heeled shoes, Christina exited her apartment. In a matter of 15 minutes, she was within the office premises. "Hello," she greeted a disheveled-looking young man who entered after her. "Excuse me, could you assist me? I'm in search of Sergei Anatolievich. Today marks my inaugural day here, and I'm yet to acquaint myself with the layout." The young man cast a mocking gaze from top to bottom at Christina's attire. "Didn't need to go all out," he remarked, gesturing to her suit. "We're not exactly known for dressing up. Half the folks roll in wearing whatever they slept in. But come on, I'll guide you to the boss." The encounter with the chief was brief and to the point. "We hashed out your responsibilities during the interview," he stated. "I'll escort you to the HR department now. Get yourself registered. Subsequently, Alina, the department head, will introduce you to your mentor. We've opted not to compartmentalize our programmers into traditional departments, like HR or accounting. Instead, we're organized into groups, each with a specific objective. Group Group composition shuffles with each new project. Every group boasts a mentor. Naturally, a mentor carries more responsibility and a better compensation. Anyone, irrespective of tenure, can become a mentor. Naturally, on your maiden project, mentorship isn't an expectation. People need to become familiar with your work ethic. But down the line, it's all within your grasp. I comprehend, Christina affirmed with a nod, appreciative of the information. Thank you. Guided by Sergey Anatolievich, she was led to the personnel department. It was there that she encountered Alina, a young woman adorned in a short, almost provocative dress. While Alina didn't exude an overt sense of friendliness, Christina had gleaned that only 5 women were employed in the company, and she would become the 6th. This numerical minority implied an unspoken camaraderie that she was inclined to embrace. Intuiting that showcasing her vulnerability might be an asset, Christina decided to seek advice from her new colleague. I'm still a bit uncertain about the office dress code. She broached the topic. You look very put together and professional. By the entrance, I crossed paths with a guy, and he, Christina paused, letting the implication hang in the air. Alina required no further elaboration. The message was clear. Our company doesn't enforce a rigid dress code, Alina explained, her tone imbued with a touch of judgment. Typically, departments tied to office functions, HR, accounting, sales adhere to conventional office attire. But when it comes to programmers, she pressed her lips together, her expression hinting at a certain disdain. Of course, not all of them, but a majority. Interestingly, we only have 1 female programmer apart from you. You'll be the 2nd. And she, Alina's words wavered momentarily. Well, you'll find out for yourself. Christina's understanding nod portrayed a hint of frustration she couldn't quite conceal. She found herself perplexed by the persistent notion that a woman couldn't embody both technological prowess and physical attractiveness simultaneously. This stereotype had crossed her path far too often, and she'd become accustomed to the raised eyebrows she encountered when disclosing her line of work. Do you have any insights about my mentor? Christina inquired. What's the best approach to connect with him? Alina's grin was almost mischievous. He's a character, she replied. You're fortunate to have him as your mentor. Eugene isn't new to the mentorship role. He's been at it for a while. He excels at establishing clear objectives and possesses an innate ability to sense when his team members require assistance. You're in capable hands. Don't stress about him. Your focus should be on the rest of the team. It's an eclectic mix. Individuals who can spend weeks glued to their computers and still reside with their parents. While Christina's smile held a note of assurance, I'm certainly equipped to handle one of those. I've grown accustomed to such personalities over time. Great, Alina's response was succinct. Our briefing is complete. If you don't have any more queries, I'll take you to the main office and introduce you to Eugene. Are you prepared? Yes, Christina exhaled, ready to step into the next phase of her journey. Attention, dear viewers. The continuation of our story is near. To keep up to date, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click on the subscribe button and the bell to make sure you don't miss the next exciting episode. Thank you so much for your interest and support.